sorry, and you'll shut down. I'll go over here, you'll start again. I'll come back and say, you're speaking. If you speak again, I'm going to put you over there. And you'll say, yes, sorry. And you speak again, I'll say, please sit over there. And if he says no, then I'll into that. But if he moves over there and does it again, I'll say, you're speaking. If you speak again, I'm going to send you out. And we'll talk about it later. And later is what's going to count because he's a C, right? He's not a B. We're wasting our time. I need to reprogram his compass. I don't deal with it. See, if I have a good enough relationship and he is responsible enough, he will respond to this. Not because he's scared of me, but because what I'm doing is reasonable. But if he doesn't respond, then I have to reprogram him. I have to sit with him. I have to say, it's really good we've got this chance to speak because I just do not understand what happened in class. I think I asked you 3-4 times not to distract people and you just continued. That to me seems very unfair. And then I'll wait. And I can wait for 7 minutes and he'll be really uncomfortable if he doesn't say anything. And then he will say something and I'll hear it. So you're only talking, you're trying to keep up. And then we're on to the standard pattern, like, so you didn't mean to distract anybody. No. But when you were talking, you did. Oh, can you see there's a problem? Now, let me tell you, I just witnessed in the 30 visits to schools this year a phenomenal discussion between a principal, teacher and the kid who kicked someone in the yard. And I was lucky enough to be present. So they had this kid there, he'd been in trouble, and the conversation, which we'll do next week as well, possibly to get onto that, was all wrong, but it looked right. It was, what happened? Look, you kick someone in the yard, right? Now, that's really dangerous. People have a right to be safe. Why'd you kick her? She said something unreasonable about my mother. So, okay, so look, kicking's wrong, okay? If you do that tomorrow, if she does that to you tomorrow, I want you to come and tell me. Would you do that? Don't kick her. You agree to that? Yeah. Okay, good. So I asked, could I speak to this kid for a minute? They said, yeah. I said, what did you do? I kicked someone. Is that a problem? And he goes, as if I'm from Mars, you get into trouble. And I said, okay, but what if no one's there? Is it a problem? No teacher sees you? And he went like this. Someone had come. Just like that. And I knew we were in trouble, right? And so from there it just went worse. He could not see that this was a problem. He'd been through the whole so-called discussion and he took no ownership whatsoever. So when we get these kids on their own and we can talk to them in a certain way, they will have to take ownership of what they did in that classroom. I tried to give them the chance to stop distracting people. They refused. That is unreasonable. What's going on? It won't work it'll work with C's, not the first conversation, usually about the second or third, because when they're back in class I can say, come on, you said you understood. But D's, no. D's in fact are trying to distract people, some D's. That's their motive. They're actually wanting to distract people. They want people to notice them. So it's not going to work with a D, but you'll only know that once you've done it. That's what I said. It's unfortunate. Some of these techniques are counterproductive because you're giving them what they want, which is your engagement through their misbehaviour. And that's the last thing you should do with a D, but you don't know until you get there. So it's a bit of a problem. So we're now dealing with A's and B's. Yes?
Can you just tell us what to do with B's then?
No, you can't. It's so complicated. First of all, you think about the self-concept and how you can repair it. Secondly, you identify them for the motive of their behaviour and you tell them you will signal them the next time they do it. You will point out that the kind of behaviour they're trying to achieve is contrary to being liked and they can't have both. What do they really want? And you'll play games with their mind. I did this to a kid once, I must tell you. I did this with a kid. It was a Box Hill Tech. We were playing. I was showing somebody how this can look. And he walked out and another kid said, what was that about? He said, he messed with my mind. But that's about it. I did. I messed with his mind. And so when we get to D's, we'll get there. Don't worry. Okay, any questions on what we've done today? Yeah.
I still don't understand why you can't say, can you please?
You can. But it's empowering them and you're trying to get them to be responsible.
Aren't they more likely to follow your instructions if they see that you've really asked them in a reasonable way and you haven't sort of, I guess, denigrated them in any aspect so they feel like they're more likely to do it rather than if they were a kid who are very used to it.
Okay, great question. I'm now going to give you another theory. before you go, I'll give you one more theory because your question is really good. Okay, when you walk into a teacher training program, you are what's called labour. That means you just do stuff. So when we get them, they can question, they can manage, they do stuff. Then you become a technician. That means you do stuff skillfully. Okay? Then you become a professional. That means you know why you do stuff and why it works. Not all teachers are professional. Most are. So this is how, this is why. And so you can explain why you choose, say, to be assertive. I can explain to you why I don't ask because, and you can explain to me why I should ask. We've got different theories. So I don't ask because I want to disempower this person. I've tried hinting. I now want. You're saying, but how about an intermediate step where you semi-empower? Okay, because we're now at the next level. We're now talking artistry. Artistry means you take all your experience, you reflect on it, and you figure out who goes with what and when. So I would have to say to you, for some kids you will, and for some kids you won't. For some crimes you will, some crimes you won't. For sometimes a day you will, and sometimes a day you won't. And that's what you know, because you've got to that level of reflection on practice. So your question is coming out of that artistry level. You can't teach that artistry. Each person gets that from reflection. I'm stuck in the technician sort of level as I'm teaching you here, so I can't deal with that question. It's too hard. There's no simple answer. So you will just have to try it, because logically, as a professional level, you can say to me, as you did, it's more face-safe, it's more likely to work. And I might say, yeah, you're right, you know, but you want to control them. You don't want them having a debate with you or feeling empowered in any way. You want people to be responsible, so maximise learning and safety. So we're having a very interesting discussion in the area of artistry. Yeah.
I have a problem with, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm having a problem with not using police. And I'm speaking particularly male students. When I speak to their parents at home, it goes from nothing to a conversation of yes, hello, or they scream down the phone. That's how they conduct a conversation with the kids or speak. But they're not realising they're screaming and yelling. They just have a loud way of speaking.
Someone up the back that's coming.
So, me not saying please, I'm asking you politely. I don't say it. That's just.
Did I say not say please?
Can you?
No, that's a question. That's a question. No, I've got a please.
Oh, sorry. Can you?
Yeah.
If I'm not kind of put the tone, sorry, I'm not.
Yeah. Question.
Yeah. So don't present that tone. They see that as an affront, as a challenge, as a red flag.
Okay. Well, that's then you're saying to me this will work with some kids and it won't work with others. And therefore you would take that's again artistry, you will take the ones for whom it won't work.
In some cases you actually see the physical change is taking place to older.
Yeah. What year level?
11.
Oh, absolutely. I would hope you don't have to do this in year 11. Yeah, well, it's a shame because ideally by year 11 they should understand how to be responsible and they should respond to other less invasive things. So I could even say to people, what are you doing? What should you be doing? Is it helping us? And all that sort of stuff. That's a hint. Directional hint. Okay, we better stop. I'm staying back now to talk to anyone who wants to. I'm in no hurry today, which is good because last time I was. So if anyone wants to continue the conversation, now's the time. Yep.